And we're back. So yes, just like the plants at Epcot that hung and were in their own little water bubbles, even though they would need air. And some of them, they were outside of it and part of the roots were inside of it. It was like a half and half. But that's how these babies were in various stages of gestation. So let's say Planned Parenthood sold an embryo and it was 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. A 6 weeks old abortion is going to have more power to it than somebody that goes and has an abortion at 8 or 9 months. And that's because there's longer time for that DNA to take place and grow along with the baby.
Gotcha.
So it grows along with the baby. So if they can give someone an abortion at, say, 4 weeks pregnant, 6 weeks, like at 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks pregnant, that's prime for Lab 257. That is prime. They got the technology partly from Disney and partly from some of the Nazi experimentation that went on. So there was a lot of stuff that actually goes into this.
Yeah, because they recruited Nazis after World War II.
Yes, and the Nazis worked there. They did. They actually worked at Plum Island.
Right.
And doing all kinds of experiments. Now, while they were telling you that these were experiments on animals or we were trying to fix animals, that is a crock of shit. That's not true. And the reason I know it's not true is for one reason that I can't tell you, which I cannot say, and another reason because I know somebody that actually was out there. So, there's that. But so the Planned Parenthood, if they could get a baby that was, say, 8 weeks old,
they'd sell for more. That's
prime to them, because then they have this embryonic sac that they created that they would supply them with. It wasn't every Planned Parenthood; it was certain ones, and they would supply them with them, and they would put the baby in the sac, and it's self-sealed, kind of like cling wrap. To be honest with you, it's what it was, and they even provided them with a special fluid. Then whoever would come and pick them up will come and get them. And at that point, when they got back to the lab, the DNA from the aliens that were still alive, 4 of them, and they would take DNA from all 4 because there's something about their DNA that can actually mix, blend, and be like it was one. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I know all about this. And then they would infuse them, the baby, in the embryonic sac, and then they would allow that baby to grow 10 months, not 9. Because believe it or not, a woman can be pregnant for 10 months.
Oh, yeah.
And usually not any more than that, though, because the original fluid in the sac starts to dry up, no matter whether it's artificial or as, it would be in your body.
Right.
And once it starts to dry up, they cannot put any more artificial fluid in there. And I don't know why that is, because the fluid, when they snatch them from Planned Parenthood and they put them in these, cling wrap sacks, they're not really, cling wrap. I'm just...
Well, yeah.
Use an example. But the fluid that they give them, even though they gave them that fluid to add to it, mm-hmm. once it starts to dry up between 9 and 10 months, for whatever reason, they cannot add more. Or they could technically, keep the baby in there for 2 years until it's born, but they can't. Right. So the baby is born as an infant. The water actually breaks as if it was in the mother, but it's hanging. When it gets close, because they're monitoring the lungs, the lung development, the heart development, but mainly what they're monitoring is brain development, along with heart and lung, because the lungs have to be working, the kidneys have to be working, and then when they know that this baby is about to be birthed unnaturally, they put these hammocks underneath the bulbs that are hanging. They're little hammocks, because they don't know when the baby's going to break free.
They catch the baby?
It catches the baby, these little hammocks. And they're just far enough up from the hammock where the umbilical cord is not going to leave them hanging. They're going to gently land on the hammock. There's somebody always in the lab 24/7, and they always have 3 people in the lab at all times. Sometimes,
so basically like an alien baby farm.
Yes, an alien baby farm, but they come out looking human. But the thing with it is they're not all human. They're not. They look human because they were already being birthed when they went to the abortion clinic, so they're going to have the physical characteristics of a human being. But what they have inside them is so much different. Now, some people believe that your indigo children, your crystal children, are what these things are, that they are alien. But what they don't know is how were they created. Now, I'm not saying that these are the indigo children or the crystal children, but they very well could be, because they set them out. A lot of them get adopted, and you would go to an adoption agency.
Alien babies out.
They adopt them out, and you're going to say, why? They want to experiment on them. They do, though. Some of them are kept there at Lab 257, but half of them or more are adopted out. But what they do is they're constantly monitored. Mm-hmm. The government monitors these kids. They know exactly where they are. They know how they're doing in school. They know how they're interacting with other children and adults. And what they're looking for is specialized gifts. Okay, so if your child goes into gifted and talented and you adopted it, and you didn't adopt it from a crackhead or something, it's got all, well, I'm serious, them crackhead babies have issues. Yeah. Meth, crack, they have issues. Yeah, heroin, whatever. But, so if you adopt a normal baby, and it goes into a gifted class or something, or even if it doesn't go into gifted class, let's just say it shows unusual signs of different things. Mm-hmm. Like paranormal things. They're watching, and they're testing. So no matter what doctor you would take your child to, if you had adopted the child, let's say you took your child to, it's little pediatrician, and the doctor's like, oh, well, it's time to give them their shots. Mm-hmm. They're actually taking samples from them as well. Now, there are also occasions when a woman goes into the doctor and she's pregnant naturally. She's going to her OB, whatever they are, OB-GYN, something.
OB-GYN.
That's it, OB-GYN, gynae. So she's there. She's getting monitored for her pregnancy. Sometimes there is a tool that they have. It looks like those head scratchers, but you don't feel them. They're very light. Yeah, it was like this thing, like the pet rock for a while, and it looked like alien looking, and it would massage her head or something. But it kind of looks like an egg beater or a whisk.
What?
Yeah, it's the people that are listening to me, some of you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. But it was smaller, and it would be like real thin, and then it would open up like a balloon.
Oh, yeah.
But the woman wouldn't feel it, and they will yank her baby out.
What?
Yes, and she does not feel it. Because the tips of this thing, it's a special technology that from the time it goes in, everything in there is numb. Like, have you ever had a numbing agent? Like, somebody could stab you or cut you and you don't feel it. You don't even know what's happened. You have no idea. Like, you're just like, oh, la-di-da, and then boom, hey, you just stabbed me to death. But why didn't I feel it? Well, because I numbed you up, dummy.
So it's like a synthetic epidural, basically.
Yeah, but they don't even feel it. So what they're telling the woman is, okay, I'm going in with a speculum here because I want to check out. I need to put my hand up your hoo-ha because I need to see if the baby's positioned, or if the baby has enough weight. I want to feel this. I want to feel that. I want to see if you're dilated, and they will pull that baby out. But the woman does not feel it because the minute that they tell them the speculum's going in, it's not. It's this other thing going in. But as it touches them, it's numbing them 100% in seconds, and they will then insert. Yes, but they'll insert another baby into them that is half alien, half human. It doesn't even belong to you now. Now, you're going to say I'm crazy, but I'm going to tell you about this doctor. He was in Mantua, New Jersey. His name was Dr. Markoff. You can look it up. I'm sure you guys can do research. Dr. Markoff in Mantua, New Jersey. He was part of a government program where he was told to inject people with swine flu. Yes, he was, and to not swine flu. I'm sorry.
Avian flu?
No, I'm gonna actually have to look it up. But I actually know the doctor. I had visited a doctor when I was very little. I know who Dr. Markoff is, and he had told my mother at one time. He said, "You don't want this shot," because he liked her, and she goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You don't want this shot." He goes, I found out that this is being given to me by the government to infect and inject people with things.
What?
No lie. So here's what happened to him. Like, I'm dead serious. And this is another thing you guys can do research on. So when Dr. Markoff found this out, he decided he was no longer going to participate in anything government related. He didn't want nothing to do with it. So what did they do to him? They had the IRS come after him for tax evasion, and he went to prison.
What?
Yes, he did like 10 or 20 years in prison. But he did not do any tax evasion. They did trumped up charges on him. These are things you guys can research. Like, I mean, you can say, well, Dee Dee's lying, or we don't know if she's telling the truth, but, you know, I get it, but I'm giving you enough information on shit that you can verify yourself. Now, maybe you can't verify that there's, you know, Planned Parenthood is selling, you know, embryos, but my God, you know, already they're selling body parts.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, is it a far stretch?
No.
I mean, you don't have to believe me, but one question, logical question. We'll be right back.